You ready to go, Mai? We're gonna start in the little garden. So I have 3 little raised bed gardens, pardon me, and that's all my garden space that I have other than pots. So this first one I have the remnants of some spinach, 2 different varieties of spinach, and then some lettuce that is just starting to get big enough, and probably this week maybe big enough to be able to pick some and use some for our salads. But I tried to go ahead and make this my herb garden as well. So I planted the spinach really early, and I figured by the time it's done, and obviously it's already, a lot of it's already going to seed, I can pull that out, and then I have my herb garden. So I've planted, see if you can see, so actually these are kale. I'm gonna let these grow. These were volunteers that came up. I didn't plant any kale this year, but I'm really happy I've got a little bit growing here, a couple little pieces. And then I have all this spinach everywhere, but I've got some parsley growing here and some oregano, 2 little plants of oregano growing here that I started from seed indoors this winter. And let's see if we can get up over the fence. I've got a couple, I think I've got 3 sage plants that I started from seed. So they're really small, but they've gotten actually pretty big since I put them out here. I've got one here with a friendly weed next to it I need to get out and take care of. There's another one there, and there's another one there. And then I've got a lot of basil. I've got Italian broadleaf, large leaf basil, and then I've got some Genovese basil, kind of all mixed in, kind of in this row along here. There's some thyme there, a little chives, and the plant in the corner is lavender. And where else? Oh, I have some rosemary right here. So you can see that, like, you know, all of this spinach has gone to seed, and I'm actually just letting this little bit of it go to seed so that I can get in and harvest this. And I want to save these seeds, so I'm letting it go way beyond its usable, you know, for eating. I'm just letting it flower and then get all the seeds, and I'm gonna try saving the seeds this year, because why not? Why haven't I done that until now? I'm gonna try that with a few of my veggies, as many as I can, and see if I have any success, because I was so daunted by it, and I was so like, oh, it's such a technical thing and I can't do it. And I feel like I can. I feel like I'm making more of a big deal out of it than it really is, and I should be doing it. So this is the second garden, and you might be wondering, why in the world do you have this big contraption net over here? And it is because the other day I came out here and my little beets were coming up so pretty. Probably can't see them, it's focusing on the net. And now the tops of them all in here got eaten off. So I'm trying to keep the ones that actually are still there able to be saved. I don't know if it's the birds getting it or the rabbits, but I've put this up, and the last few days everything seems to have been left alone, and it doesn't look like there's any bunnies like digging around underneath to get in. So I'm hoping that that is keeping them away. And then I'm gonna plant, I've got some more seeds, I'm gonna go ahead and plant some more beets there, see if I can get some kind of beet harvest without somebody eating them. And the same thing happened last year, just they mysteriously disappeared all last year. So I really want some beets this year. I've also got some radishes growing here, which desperately need thinned out, so I get to thin these out a little bit today. I just hate thinning them out. I don't know why, but they need it. They really need thinned out. There's also some carrots growing mixed into here, but as I thin out the radishes and then eventually pull them all and eat them, the carrots will have more room to grow. And I've got a little row of beets up here, which will also have more room to grow once I thin these things out. Also inside here, just because they're neighbors, I have some baby radishes. So this little row right along in here, and then on the outer part, that's all radishes as well. And then I've planted, to grow up this trellis, I've planted, you can see just the starts of little cucumbers on either side. So those are just beginning to pop up. They're so cute. I can't wait till they fill up this whole place and we can just pull off cucumbers. Let's see, I planted, because I like to have pretty stuff in the garden too. I planted some zinnias, which I love zinnias. They're my favorite flower, I think. I planted some more basil just because we had so much. I've started it from seed and there was so much of it. And I love basil. We make pesto all the time and freeze it in ice cube trays and just keep it in the freezer and just eat it whenever we want a little taste of summer. Got a bunch of onions growing up here. And I actually planted a bunch of onions here, and I don't know how they're doing. They were just like the onion starts that look real dry and gross, like at first, but then, you know, they pop up. So, but we got so much rain. We got like a week of rain, inches and inches of rain, and they all were just smashed into the soil, and I think I see like a little bit of green popping up, but I'm just hoping that they pop back up. If not, you know, I'll have a few less onions. I've also got my hot peppers over here. I have cayenne and jalapeno peppers right here, 2 of each. And then these are sugar snap peas. Excuse me. These are just the little baby sugar snap peas. I may have planted them too late because now it's starting to get so hot, but I kind of forgot about them, so I threw them out there. We had planted snow peas earlier, and like that one's a snow pea, and I think this one over here, it kind of looks like it got broken with all the rain and wind we had. But these are all beans. These are my favorite beans. They're Vortex pole beans, and they grow beautifully. They grow, and the beans get to be like, I mean, up to 12 inches long. They're just enormous, delicious beans. I love them. So that's, oh, and then over in the corner I've got a little lemon balm. I don't know if it's going to be happy over there. It seems like it gets a little shade because I've got a lilac bush here, and that corner might not be a great place for it. So we'll see how it goes, and I might have to move it. And then I'll have to pull out that dandelion. I've been letting the dandelions grow because I want to try dandelion root tea. So I've pulled out a bunch of roots already. I've got to get that one. I forgot about it. Got my marigolds. I like to put marigolds all around the garden just because they are beautiful and they deter some insects and draw in some good insects, some pollinators. Let's see what I have over here. So this last garden, I have some more beans, and it looks like some more. I planted some earlier here and they've come up, and there's a couple snow peas too. And then it looks like the ones I planted later are just starting. Let's see if you can see the little ones starting to come up. And then I've got some cilantro, and these are my sweet peppers. So I've got, of the sweet peppers, I've got a sweet red, California Wonder, a Cal Wonder, and oh my gosh, I'm forgetting the last one. It'll come to me. But I've got 3 varieties. No, I don't. You know what? I just have those 2 varieties. Just 2 varieties of sweet and 2 varieties of hot. And then I've got a little bit of basil growing in here next to my tomatoes. They say basil helps keep the tomato hornworm away and makes the taste, and aids in making the flavor of your tomatoes more delicious. So, and I love basil, so it can't hurt to plant more basil, right? And then I've got my tomatoes planted here as well. We have a pretty big trellis. You zoom out so you can see. So all the varieties of tomatoes that I have are indeterminate, which means they're going to keep growing all growing season as long as you let them, as long as you provide support for them. They're going to keep growing and growing and growing the whole entire growing season. And they're going to keep letting out fruit all season. So they'll, by the end of this summer, they will be up above this trellis and like starting to trail over it. It's amazing how big they get. So I have a black cherry here. And then these two are the beefsteak tomatoes. And they're looking really good. So all of these tomatoes and all the basil and all the peppers, actually everything in this garden was started from seed. So the tomatoes and peppers we planted inside and the basil inside, and then we brought it out here to the garden. These two are an heirloom called Cherokee Purple, and they're looking good. So they got a lot of rain, and I really need to get in and I want to put some straw around the bottom of these. I'll need to trim off some of the leaves that are touching the soil, prune those off, and take care of these because they really got splashed up. You can kind of see they've got a lot of soil splashed up on them from the huge rain we had, and this rain came like right after I planted these, so I didn't really get a chance to mulch around them, but the mulch will help keep the water and the soil from splashing back on the leaves, which can help keep them from getting diseases on their foliage. So I've got, let's see, the Cherokee Purple I've got two of. There's a little volunteer chamomile growing up. And then these two here on the end are the big broadleaf brandywines. So I love brandywines. They're some of my favorite. I just think they're delicious. They big slicers. I can't wait to eat these. This one I planted before, like a day or two before all the rest, and then the night that we planted it, we got a hailstorm. So I am so glad that I didn't plant the rest of them, because this poor one, it'll be fine, but it's gotten beaten up, branches broken off, and holes in the leaves, but I can see some new growth, so it'll be okay. That's why that one's looking a little bad. And then, yeah, some more basil, some marigolds. And then I've got this spinach. So I've got two kinds of spinach, and I am kicking myself for not remembering which kind I had. So if anybody knows, just from looking, this one went to seed. This one was really great. It was early, and it came up real early, and we harvested a lot, but then it also went to seed really fast. And so those I'm again gonna harvest some seeds from. And then this one over here, get down here, this one is a really, like, I don't know, kind of like meaty and delicious, and it's got this like thick texture. It is so good, and actually they're both really good mixed together. But look, it's like hasn't gone to seed. It kind of grows real low to the ground, but that's just beautiful. And we're still harvesting and picking this one. And when it goes to seed, I will also save the seeds. So then when this clears out, the tomatoes will take up a lot more room here once they get big. But I will, and then I've got a little pepper here, so I will have some empty space here, it will seem like, but actually, I mean, the tomatoes and peppers are going to fill this in. I might be able to throw like a little row of cilantro in or something after these get pulled out. I forgot I have a little tiny bit of cilantro right there, which is coming up, it's starting, and I'll have some cilantro here pretty soon. So that's the garden, and that is where we are this week with this little suburban garden. So I just have to show these beautiful rhododendron. They just started blooming a couple days ago and they are just beautiful. I love this color of pink. I do need to go in and trim out some of these branches. Got this one, which is doing pretty good. It's nice and big. And then we've got this one that's just like one little tiny one. We used to have 3 of them. Where the hosta was, there was another. But when our dog was a puppy, she thought that the stems were such delicious little sticks that she actually destroyed. She destroyed half of this one. And then she just totally ate the other one. She just chewed it all up, pulled it out of the ground, and there was no saving it. So yeah, a lot of our story of our yard and our garden is a lot to do with that little creature over there, because what she does to our yard is, we love her, thank goodness, but man, she is a challenge. That's why we have fencing all around the gardens and all around everywhere, because she's a digger like any dog. She likes to dig. So we've got some little hostas, some of the little ones I had replanted, and I'm hoping that they like this spot and get big. We've got the limelight hydrangea starting. I trimmed it all back and it's starting to leaf out and look really pretty against the house. Again, we've got this beautiful, I was so worried about this lilac that it wouldn't bloom. Whew, a big old spider web I just walked into. But look, it's starting to bloom and it smells so pretty. It's kind of cool. It's a bush grafted onto a stick, so it's like a white lilac tree. And then all of our little shade-loving hostas. We've got some Japanese painted ferns, and I planted these impatiens, and they are looking like I plant impatiens here every year, and they usually love this spot. I just think that these got a little cold. We had them, and we couldn't plant them out because it got really cold, and we had to keep them in the tray for way too long. And I'm hoping that they bounce back and they do okay here once they're used to this location and they have a chance to get strong. I hope. Grow, little guys. So then we've got our Japanese painted fern. We've also got some caladium back there, which also got too cold and the leaves died off, but I'm hoping that they also, new growth will come and that they'll be okay. I also don't know if I have them in a great spot because I think they like more light than what I'm giving them, but we'll see. So this pot is calendula, this leafy, it almost looks like a lettuce. Around the outside, these 4 are calendula, and you can see there's a little bud. They'll be bright marigold type flowers. Is actually another name for it, is called the pot marigold, and they're edible, they're medicinal, and I actually use calendula in some of my salves. So I don't know if I'll get enough to harvest and use, but I'm hoping. And they also make really nice cut flowers. So this is the first time I've grown this plant, and I'm just really glad I found it. The one in the middle is stevia. So we'll have some stevia leaves I'll probably dry them and grind them up, crush them and keep them in a jar. So we have stevia leaves for sweetener, or you can just pinch off the leaf and put it in your tea. So this little one here has feverfew, which I've also never grown before, but I was watching a YouTube channel, and you know what, honestly, I can't even remember because I watch so much different gardening YouTubers, but it was a research facility, and they were researching how to grow squash paired with feverfew, and in hopes that it would ward off the squash vine borer, which I've had the hugest problem with over the years. So there's no squash in my garden because every time I plant it, the squash vine borer gets it, and it'll be looking beautiful, and just when it's ready to let out fruit, I might get one or two, and then the plant dies. And I've tried everything. I've tried the netting over it to keep the adult out of it, and I've tried you know, when I find the damage, I'll like cut open the vine and find the worm inside, and I'll dig them out, and then try to like take soil and patch up the wound. And it's just so much work for so little reward. They just kill the plants, and it's just sad. And squash should be something that just grows so easily that you can just, you usually should have so many you don't know what to do with. So I kind of gave up on squash, but I'm going to try it in new soil, separate from the garden, paired with the feverfew. And I had gotten rid of all my squash seeds, but I had 3 squash seeds left, so I put them here. And then I put a little chamomile in because I had so much. Now I realize that if the squash does well, it's going to take over this whole space. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. If we're experimenting here in the garden. So if I have to, I'll take this one out and just set it in a pot next to it if this is doing well. And I've got so much chamomile everywhere else, I'll be fine with not having it if the squash does well here. So I just imagine it getting like enormous here in this little pot, or it's kind of a big pot. Got some beautiful flowers, some bacopa, love it, some million bells, some potato vine. Got some more pretty flowers here. So this is just our little sitting area to sit and hang out and check out the garden and hang out by the water feature and just enjoy. And this is mint here. Got peppermint, and this is a chocolate mint called, this is a new one, I've never grown it. It's called After 8 Mint. So we'll see. It was just so pretty. Have these purple stems and little purple green leaves. And this is spearmint. We really like this for our tea. And we always have to have the porch tomato. This is a cherry tomato. So this is like the kids' tomato plant where they will just come and pick tomatoes all summer. And got it right here on the porch. Yeah, so there's that poor little caladium, but it's gonna bounce back, right? You're gonna bounce back and be pretty. I love the Japanese painted ferns. I've got a lot of lily of the valley back here, growing around the tree. The red and green, which I love. I think it looks so pretty to throw that red and green in here with all this green. That is coleus. And it'll get bigger. We just planted those. These are an annual that we just planted. This little guy is my favorite variety of bug loss, and it was like over there, kind of getting crowded out by all that stuff. So I dug it out earlier this spring, put it over here, hoping it'll have a little more space and grow a little bigger, because that's my favorite one. I love the bug loss. It gets little blue flowers you can see in the early spring, and then the green the rest of the time. Ooh, and there's a pretty lily of the valley growing back there. So cute, and they smell so good. We've got them underneath our tree here. This is a bloodgood maple, Japanese maple. That's just gorgeous. And we've got our water feature. Not really sure what's going on with all the white foam inside of here today. This is not usually what it's looking like, but you know what? So our dog gets in here all the time. Our kids get in here all the time, and they were both in here yesterday. We don't have any fish in here or anything, but they just, I mean, we had to make it accessible for them, because they to be able to get up and in there because we knew they were going to be in there anyway, whether we wanted them to or not. So we made it so that dogs and kids can get in, and who knows, the kids had sunscreen on yesterday. The dog has been in and out, but this is just so pretty. Look at that beautiful moss growing, and the sound of this water is just so wonderful to sit out here and enjoy. There's some more bugloss. Here on the deck we've got some more basil, of course. Got a little rose. This is like a little miniature yellow rose that I've had for a few years. It was a gift. Actually, it was a gift to my daughter from her grandma. And then we've got some really pretty hanging baskets and some begonias. Look at the leaves on these. Aren't they so pretty? And they're just beautiful. This one I just potted up yesterday. I just found this geranium, and I just love the leaves on it. And the bright pink was so pretty. And then some potato vine. And then I had so much oregano and mint and chamomile, so I just am planting it everywhere. So there's more chamomile, and that is mint, peppermint. And of course some more chamomile over here, some basil, and gotta have a marigold nearby. This is just all stuff I had over winter, came up again. Trying to get another little seedling of sage going, and I've got a sunflower which desperately needs watered. You can see the petals are curling in and the leaves are drooping. I need to water this really soon. It actually feels a little bit moist, but it needs some water. And that one gets to get planted really soon. And then I bought this at the store the other day, and I don't know where I'm gonna put it, but it was so pretty to get it. And this is the remainders of my herbs that I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with. I've got a lot of oregano, and I've got a little bit of peppermint left. So I'll find places to put that, or friends and neighbors to give it to. And then over here, these are what most people would not want growing in their yard. These are plantain, and actually they are ones that I transplanted from two of my wonderful neighbors who did not want them in their yard. This just grows like crazy all over our yards around here, and it's actually a weed, and people don't want it, but it actually is a wonderful weed, and it has wonderful medicinal properties. It's great for skin. It's great for treating bee stings. I put it in some of my soothing salves. It's just a great medicinal herb. And you can even just, if you get stung by a bee, you can just pop off one of the leaves and pop it in your mouth, like grind it up a little between your teeth and macerate it, and then just put that like a poultice on the bee sting, and it will take the sting away. So, and they're everywhere. So I don't have any growing in my yard, and we have a dog who uses the restroom in our yard. So even if I did, I wouldn't want to use them growing freely in my yard. But my wonderful neighbors found these in their garden beds, and they called, my neighbor Linda called me over and was like, hey, do you want these before I weed them out? So I came over with my pots and dug them up and put them in pots. So I'm gonna grow them here and see how they do. And then this one, my other neighbor Kelly came over with her offering. She's like, here, I found these underneath the lilies or something, and brought me her weeds. So thank you, neighbors, for giving me your weeds. I appreciate it. And lastly, we've got along this little bench here, we've got ginger. So I've never grown ginger before. I'm not sure what's happening here. We did get a lot of rain, so that could be it. But I'm gonna try to grow ginger and see how that goes. And I'm growing it in a pot just in case I feel like I wanna bring it in before summer's over. I'm not really sure. I know I've been doing some reading on ginger and growing it fresh and growing it around here, and how it's a little different than in tropical climates. And So this is a fun experiment. I love experimenting in the garden. I do a lot of it. So it makes it more interesting and fun to try. And then I have these pretty canary wing begonias. They really like the morning sun. So they're just about to be shaded here pretty soon. And then we've got the baker's rack, which has a lot of my succulents, which don't look super great right now. They had some struggles with my dog this winter when I brought him in. I put him in the bay window, and that happens to be Maya's favorite place to sit and look out the window. And I think she was a little upset that her looking spot got taken. So she ate them, and she dug them up, and she chomped on them, and like, look at this poor guy. Just, yeah. And so I had to bring this whole baker's rack in, which I usually just leave the empty baker's rack out in the winter. And I had to bring it in, and I stuck it in this sliding glass door right here all winter long, and I moved all these things here. And then they were fine, and she left them alone. So I don't know. Hopefully I'll need to do a little work on them. We'll see. Get them out here in the hot sun, and they'll like it. This is Creeping Jenny from last year that I just brought inside. I was like, oh, I don't know, let's see what happens. And look, it's gorgeous. And my neighbor said she has this stuff that fell out, you know, seeded out of a pot, and is just growing in her garden. And it's so pretty. I love this stuff. I think it is gorgeous. Like little green ponytails trailing down. I want to show you our Japanese maples. This one is my favorite. This is called an ikigumo. Ukigumo. I'm not sure which, ukigumo or ikigumo, but it's like a white cloud, and it gets these pretty white speckled leaves on it. But then we've also got this one little section where it was grafted that's also just the green. So it's like this weird mix. We've got a section like that grows out here that's just the green, and then the rest of it's the white and green. And then we've got the Bloodgood, which is so pretty. It was so tiny when we first planted it. It was like up to here. It was just this little ornamental tiny thing, and now it's enormous and gorgeous. Gives us some nice shade here. And then I've got this one over here on the corner. I don't even know what this one is called, but it's got more of the wispy, so if anybody knows what this one's called, let me know. The wispy little leaves. It's so pretty. And I like how it comes over and it kind of shades the walk down onto the deck. So we're gonna come over here around to the side. My husband put this little stone walk in this year. My husband and my daughter worked on that because this would just be mud all spring with our dog running around. So it's nice we actually get, because there's some stones here, we actually have grass, which is so nice. And so here on the side yard, I've got a bird's nest up in the clematis, and every time I come over here, the mama flies out, and I don't know, she must not be in there right now, because usually she's flying out and scaring the living daylights out of me as she zooms out of there real quick. There's one of those carpenter bees looking for a place to dig a hole. And then we've got this, yay, the clematis is blooming. These are the first ones I've seen. So the clematis is blooming, and it's like coming over into this tree, and you can see it's like coming, the trellis is coming off the fence, and the clematis is growing out, but I don't want to fix it yet because we've got these birds here. So I need to get it pushed back and like trained back on that way. But you know, baby birds come first. Got some more of the impatiens here. This is Coreopsis, and it's not a great spot for the Coreopsis. I probably need to move it to somewhere that gets more sun. It just needs more. And then I've got to move these bulbs I don't even think they bloomed this year. I planted them last year at the end of the season, thinking that before this was all leaved out that they'd get plenty of light, but they really didn't. And I also think they got a little trampled by my dog, so that could have something to do with it. What else we've got? Oh, this is Echinacea. So these are really pretty. Echinacea, they're called Cheyenne Spirit, and there's like a red, an orange, and a yellow. And they're really pretty. I wonder why this one is so much bigger. It's like big, medium, small. Could be because that one's so close to the lavender. These are lilies that were growing in, actually they were growing in my grandparents' house. And my mom she separated out bulbs and took them to her house where I grew up. And then they were growing there. And they're these just big, old-fashioned, enormous, like bigger than my hand, like huge white lilies. And they'll get pretty tall before they bloom. And in fact, I have to stake them. I just have the stake sitting there. I need to get them supported, or else they'll just hang down. But they're so pretty, and it's kind of cool to have a story behind those plants where they've come down from generation to generation to generation. And they're so beautiful, and they smell really good too. And I've got some lavender. I've had this lavender here for a while, and it just looks all like straggly, but it's so pretty, and I love picking it. And look, a little zinnia, my first zinnia of the season. It's so cute. Oh, it looks like a little party dress with the two shades. It's so pretty. This one was planted from seed that I've had for, I don't know, at least a couple years, and I kind of forgot about, and I was like, hey, we're gonna plant these out this year and see if I get any germination. And I did. And then I've got my chives, all so pretty with the flowers. They're so pretty. I love these. And then they're kind of covering up a new echinacea that I planted here. I forget what this one's called. It's a different variety, and it kind of looked like it would be sort of pinkish and greenish, pink, green, white kind of on the flowers. So I'm excited to see what this one looks like, and I'll have to look at my tag again and see what the name is. There's another zinnia back here and another zinnia here. This is peony, which I planted a long time ago, maybe 3 years ago, and every year something digs it up, and I thought it was gone, and this year it came up. And it was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get peonies. And then we got a new roof put on, and the roofers crushed it. And I was like, nope, not gonna get any peonies. And then maybe I will. Or maybe at least it'll get some green, and then next year maybe I'll get peonies if nothing disturbs it again. I really want peonies. I think they're so pretty. And then there's this little struggling rose bush over here that we transplanted, put over here. And our little friend Maya decided she was gonna dig it up. And I thought it was dead forever, but it came back despite you. You stay out of my garden. And then I've got these little, actually, I don't even know what these are. I forget. Again, if anyone knows, sometimes as they grow, I mean, if eventually as they grow, I'll know. I have planted gladiolas here, and there's a pretty bumblebee. I have planted gladiolas. I don't dig them up every year, but some of them come back, and I get little, so I'm like, I don't know what this is right here. We'll see if anything blooms from it. But that's a little side garden, and along this side we've got some pretty lilies. They're starting to bloom. These are like little tiny purple ones. These came from my sister's yard. I dug them out of her yard. And then these first two here will be like a red, yellow, fringy lily. And then the other three are daylilies, the yellow daylilies. They're pretty. And then I've got, oh man, it is getting some hot sun out here. This is the blue purpley hydrangea that are so pretty, and I need to trim the stick the stalks down a little bit further and get these out of there so that just the green is showing up. And this is what Coreopsis should look like when it's got proper sun. These will get like really pretty little yellow flowers all over them. So the Coreopsis is real pretty. This also came from my mother's garden and I transplanted it here. So it's got a story to it also. Got some working going on here. Oh, he's cleaning out the gutters and scrubbing stuff off. Thank goodness you're in the shade right now. That was nice. Looking much better. So this has been my husband's big project. Got it looking great. He did an awesome job. We've got new grass seed. It all started from trying to grow grass here, and then all of that happened. So hopefully we'll get some grass here. Trying to grow some grass along the sidewalk. We've got a new bed. It was just a little bed around the tree. Now we've got this longer bed. Yesterday we planted the Japanese maple, another Japanese maple. And we've got another one back up by the house. We've had that one for years, for many, many years. And it's just this dwarf little variety. It's so cute. And then we moved, we had some May night salvia. These three were back in this back bed. I did okay, but then I was digging them up to move them and they kind of split on their own. It is a super hot day. It is going to be beautiful. I get to go inflate the pool and fill up the pool for the kids so we can enjoy spending some time out here in this beautiful garden.